Okay, good morning. It's today, October 10th?
10th, yes. All day.
Today's October 10th. Ari says all day. We'll have to see. He's maybe a prophet and he knows what's going to happen for the rest of the day.
Oh, please. I don't want to have that.
You don't have that responsibility. Okay. Anyway, it's October 10th. It's really the first day of our spiritual year, so to speak. Our biblical year. Let me change that. It's the first day of our biblical year. Yesterday we completed the Torah, reading the last portion in Deuteronomy, in V'zos HaBracha. We also began, a little teaser. We did the beginning of Bereshis.
Yeah, preview.
A little preview, exactly. And this coming Shabbos, we will read the first portion of the Torah, Bereshis, the creation of the world, the creation of man, the only person since creation that was created instead of being born. Of course, you can add to it his wife Chava. She was created alongside with him, and then God separated them.
She was created out of his rib, right?
She was. Good morning, Kat and Liz. Good morning. I was just saying that today is the first day of our biblical year because we completed the Torah yesterday, and today we're starting the new parsha, the new portion, first week of the biblical year. It's Parshas Bereshis, otherwise known as Genesis, and there is a connection. Just like yesterday, we finished the Torah yesterday, Simchas Torah, and we right away began the new portion. So our religion is based on everything being cyclical. Our years, our holidays, everything we do is cyclical. And so is the concept of our holidays are cyclical. And while yesterday was, in effect, part of Sukkot in a sense, so right away, what's the connection between Sukkot and Bereshis? There are amazing connections. Ari, can I ask you to just put down your hand? I mean, if it doesn't bother Tad, it doesn't bother me,
No, that's okay. It bothers me, but I was going to say it.
What?
It bothers me, but I was going to say it.
Well, there is coffee here, unadulterated. You have a choice of hazelnut or amaretto creamer. So before I get into it, I was going to take a vote from those that are here and for those that listen on YouTube, whether you want me to go back, revert to doing Mishnah Berurah, halachas. We can do that, laws, and we're holding at the midst of the laws of davening. We're up to Shmona Esra. Or we should do about the Parsha. We can talk about that, and as I said before, we'll incorporate laws because there's so many laws that you can cull from the Torah. The Vilna Gaon said that every law in the Torah every law that we have is not only encoded in the Torah, but in fact it's encoded in the first word of the Torah. In the word Bereshis, you have every single law, all our 613 laws.
Really?
So there was a gentleman there who had the exact same expression as Liz just had, and she went, "What? How's that?" Right? Natural. So he wanted to test the Vilna Gaon, and he said, okay, he picked some remote law, and he says, what about Pidyon Ben, redeeming the firstborn after 30 days? Where are you going to find that in Bereshis? So the Vilna Gaon didn't flinch. I was there, I remember it. And he says, you have to know Hebrew to know this, but the word Bereshis stands for, it's Beis, Reish, Aleph, Shin, and a Yud, and a Tav. Ben Rishon, the first son, Achar Shloshim Yom, after the 30th day, Tivda, you should redeem.
My goodness.
Right there in the first word. In fact, we've come up with, through the generations, hundreds of things that we can make from that first word, Bereshis.
At
I heard
least
that there's
600.
volumes written on this.
Yes.
At least 613.
At least 600. No, we haven't uncovered all 613. I humbly want to say, were you offended by that, Liz? I'm just joking. I myself came up with about 20 or 25 things that I can come up with the word Bereshis. The one that I'm not really most proud of, but I sort of like very awesome, is because I say, and not just me, that not only is every law, careful, make sure that's clicked closed. Not only is every law written in the word Bereshis, but everything that's going to happen in this planet is you can find in the word Bereshis. So when I told that to somebody, there was a gentleman there. I think he's the same guy that was by the Vilna Gaon. He looked at me and he says, "Yeah, how are you going to find the 9/11?"
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah. So Ari was going to ask me also, how do you find it? I told him, you gave me an easy one. Bereshis is Beis, which is 2, the twin towers. Rashis, the gematria is 9/11.
Wow.
Okay.
Chill down your spine.
Wow.
Okay, there it is. It's just unbelievable. In fact, I have 2 or 3 other ways how 9/11 is encoded in the word Bereshis. One is, if you know Aramaic, if you take the letters Bereshis, you rearrange it, it's Trei Ba'esh. 2 of them came down in a massive fire. That's in the word Bereshis. Also, if you rearrange the word, it's Beis 2, and then rearranging the word, it spells out the word towers. If you take the Tuf and the Aleph Resh, it's towers. So Beis towers. So now you're going to say, you know what, that's not fair. You can do that with anything. Okay, let's take a word like America. Come up with 9/11 and the word America. Come up with anything with the word America,
I know, we went like that book that you gave us years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like the things that are encoded in the Torah, just
Right.
everything is
Yeah.
in there. Now,
Everything
and,
is
and
And
now you're
also,
proving even
the
the
first
word.
13 words of the Torah
Right.
reflect the 13 attributes of mercy.
Okay, so there's so much there, and so basically, as I was saying, we're going to do either halacha, we're going to do either chumash, parsha, and have some interesting
I like
things
when
about
you
it.
did this. I like the Parsha and the laws.
Or we can, or the other choice is that we'll do Gemara, Talmud. We're holding now. We just finished the first tractate of Brachas, and we began Shabbos, Masechta Shabbos, which is the second one. But I would do Brachas because it's just fascinating, the things that are going on in that Masechta.
Learn whatever you want to teach.
So.
I don't care.
So we'll take some feedback on that off camera. As I was saying, that there's a connection between Sukkos and Bereshis, and we're going to talk about 2 of them if time allows. By the way, I don't prepare for these classes. Now, yesterday in shul, somebody suggested, Mendy, it's the last day of the Yontav, you're president of the shul. Why don't you say something, So I said, okay, and I walked up to speak. And they asked me, don't you need time to prepare? I said, well, the truth of the matter is that I don't like to prepare when I speak that much. Those that know me know that if anything, I wait to the last minute and I jot myself down some notes. And that's what I did, like maybe 3 minutes. Huh?
You told us
Yeah,
that's what you did.
and then the reason I don't do it is because I want it to be exciting to me also, interesting. And if I would be practicing what I'm going to say, yesterday for 2 hours, so I come in here. First of all, it won't sound fresh, and it'll certainly be boring to me. So it's my mishigas. I don't know the English word for mishigas, but I think you all know what I mean. It's my craziness. I like to ad lib and whatever pops into my
I
mind.
think you're doing great.
And so sometimes, maybe I don't speak as fluid as I should, but that's because I really don't know what I'm going to be saying, like in the next sentence. I know Ari knows because he's a prophet. He actually predicted. I asked him what date today was, and he said it's the 10th, and it's going to be all day,
All
October
day.
10th. He knew that.
All day.
He was able to predict the balance of the day.
Guess what?
I'm
Tomorrow's
not.
going to be 11 all day.
Well, now you're scaring me. Now you're scaring me.
I'm on fire.
You're on fire. Okay. You must have had a good rest last night. I actually had a very good sleep. I was very tired. After Yontiv yesterday, I drove down here. I had an amazing Yontiv. It didn't happen exactly the way I wanted, but it worked out to be amazing. I had tons of guests, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful Yontiv, and tons of food, and whatever was left over I brought down. I'm going to give it to some poor family over here, so I'm very excited about that. So what's the connection between Sukkot and Bereshis, the beginning of the Torah? So the first one, which is brought down in a I don't know if it's called a medrash or something. It's called Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, which I once heard that Ari again is going. Yeah, good. See, I didn't even have to say it. The first wedding on history was when?
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. Now, even though they were one person separated, from his rib, I always like to say the story where God made Adam, and he said, now I'm going to make you somebody who's going to be your companion, who's going to cook for you, who's going to clean, who's going to bear your children, who's going to give you physical satisfaction, emotional satisfaction, and who basically will raise your children and provide for all your needs. And Adam goes, wow, that's amazing. What's it going to cost me? So God said, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. So he goes, well, what can I get for a rib? So that's what. So, but actually, of course, I mean that only in jest. I don't mean to put down a woman. In fact, it puts down man, that he doesn't appreciate, what he would be getting. But we're all guilty of that sometimes. That was the first wedding. It says in the Medrash that God made, and it's also brought down in the Gemara, in Brachos, in fact, and that what are some of the requirements? What's the number one requirement that you need at a wedding?
Chuppah.
A chuppah. So it says in the Medrash, chuppah meaning the canopy, it says in the Medrash that God made 10 canopies, 10 chuppahs for Adam and Eve. And he made them out of diamonds and brilliant stones and all kinds of expensive materials. The least expensive of all of them, the Gemara says, was gold. So gold was the lowest, and then up from there. So that's how much God valued the institution of marriage between opposite sexes. And what else do you need at a chuppah?
Wine, right?
You need wine, yes. Well, you can do a chuppah without wine. Well, instead of just asking, you need it to be happy, right? That's one of the mitzvahs at a wedding is to be mesameach, to make the bride and groom, the chas and kal, to make happy. Who's going to make the bride and groom happy? So nowadays, you have your friends, you have yeshiva boys that come and they dance the heck out of the ballroom, and it makes it happy. So God summoned the angels, and He ordered them to lighten up the evening. So the angels were dancing. Now you need one more thing. You need a chazan, a master of ceremonies. Who was the chazan? So it says that God himself was the chazan, and he uses the word chazan, meaning cantor, and he performed the services. As a side joke or a side note, we have people, unfortunately, not enough, but we have people who have this Yetzer Hara, and I mean that a little bit in a joking way, who have this urge, this. You familiar with the word Yetzer Hara? Mm-hmm. To daven to be a cantor. Certain people, it's like an ego trip to daven by the Yomid. It's called in Yiddish. He loves the breitel. He loves the wood. He loves the Yomid, and that's looked at as like he's sort of like an ego maniac that he does that. But the truth of the matter is that's what God did, and we really should emulate God. And going up there and leading the services is something that we should really strive to do as often as we can. So, where is a chuppah most prominent in our lives other than our marriage? The concept of a sukkah is a chuppah. We are, as I spoke before the Yontav, or maybe on Chalamot, that the chuppah is really the canopy that we're in God's shade, and we're underneath there, and God envelops us and hovers over us, both in the physical sense and the way that we have the sukkah, or when we were in the desert, not the Palm Desert or Desert Hot Springs. When we were in the desert for 40 years, the clouds of glory were protecting us. So that's one comparison. The other comparison that I wanted to talk about is that the concept of sukkah, as I also said, that we daven Rosh Hashanah for forgiveness, and we ask God, and then afterwards we really have to work on our relationship between man and woman, whatever it is, and that's what the holiday of Sukkot is, because wherever you'll see the word sukkah in Scripture, wherever you'll see it, it'll always say the word shalom afterwards. And when we daven Friday night, it says Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha. Shlomecha meaning peaceful sukkah. We say sukkah in the Torah, which says the word sukkah. It says sukkah. In the holiday of sukkahs, it refers to, when it talks about, I think Jacob, that it talks about sukkah shalom, a peaceful sukkah. So sukkah is a place where we come in, there's unity, just like the four species. We spoke about, they're all four different types of people, but we bind them together. There should be unity. So the concept of sukkah is peace. Now, where do you find peace in Bereshis? If you can read this 1,000 times and not see it, but here I'm going to point out to you where that concept of peace is most prominent in right away in the beginning of the Torah. It says the first day. What did God create the first day? Anybody know? Anybody was around? You remember what God did the first day? It's a good thing to know what God did on each of the days. What did he do on the seventh day?
He rested.
He rested, didn't do a thing.
The first day he created heaven and earth.
Right. The first day actually, excuse me?
Firmament, I don't know what it is.
Actually, the first day, what God did, when we talk about the first day, see the word Bereshis, it says Bereshis, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. There was heaven and earth before. What he did was he distinguished them. And just as a side note, there's nothing to do with this. It's very interesting. It says Bereshis bara Elokim. In the beginning, God created. Now, there was a story. I don't remember the exact story in detail, but basically there was a time when Jews were persecuted, and they were claiming that the Torah was man-made, and that and anybody can write it, and they can write it the way they want. So what they did was they took the 70 leaders of the nation, of the Sanhedrin, of the High Court, and they locked them each up in a separate room, and they told them to write down the Torah from how they think the Torah is. If it's so divinely inspired, then let's see you guys write it down. So they each wrote it, and they did not write Bereshis Bara Lakim. They each wrote the Torah exactly word for word, but every one of those 70 made one change. And instead of writing Bereshis Bara Lakim, they wrote Elakim Bara Bereshis. Instead of writing in the beginning God created the heavens and earth, they wrote God created in the beginning heaven and earth. And they did that, and this was a miracle, because they were trying to say that the word Bereshis is a power called Bereshis, not God. There's some kind of another power. Bereshis, let's call him Mr. Bereshis, Bara Lakim, created God. You follow the literal, how you interpret it? So Bereshis, in the beginning, Mr. in the beginning, created God. So God was able to put into the minds of all these 70 to make the same change, and they wrote Elokim, God, Bara Bereshis, created in the beginning heavens and earth. Did you all follow that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Tad?
Yes.
Okay. So
This way they wouldn't think that there was.
they say they wouldn't think that there is some kind of a supernatural force person that was called Bereshis, and he created God, because that's the way you could read it. Bereshis, like we know the word Bereshis means in the beginning, but somebody could say Bereshis means, who knows what. So they put the word Elokim first. So in the first day, God, Vayomer Elokim Yor Vayor, and God saw that light is good, and God separated between light and day, and He called between light and dark, and Vayikra Elokim La'or Yom, and God called the light, that part of the day where there is light, He called it day. And v'lachoshech kara laila, and to that part of the day which is dark, He called night, morningly, and vayer boker yom echad, and it was evening, and it was day, and it was one day. So again, what did God create on the first day? He separated the night, the dark, and the light, and He made them distinct and named them night and day. That's what He did on the first day. What did He do on the second day? On the second day, there was waters all over. There was waters, heavenly waters. The whole world was in water, and God separated the waters. Vahi mavdil ben mayim lamayim, and God separated between mayim lamayim, and He put waters in the sky, and He put waters in the sea, and at certain places, and that's what He did on the second day. Now, as we go through it, every single day, day one, it says, Vayar Elokim or Kitov. We saw that it was good.
Right.
On the third day, it says it was good. In fact, on the third day, it says twice it was good.
Because on the second day it doesn't say anything.
And the second day, it doesn't say it was good, so I'm getting to that. Good morning, Elliot. So, on the third day, it says twice that it was good. That's why Tuesday is sort of the luckiest day for us. Certain people, we like to plan weddings and bar mitzvahs like on a Sunday because people are off and it's well attended. But the day that you have the most mazel, the most luck, is the third day, because it says that it was good twice. On the fourth day, He created the sun and the moon, and so it says it was good. On the fifth day, He created animals, it says it was good. So every day it says it was good, except on Monday.
So you don't want to do anything on Monday.
He separated the waters,
Right.
He divided them. God divided the waters, and it doesn't say it was good. And what do you mean it wasn't good? Had he not done that, there would be no life. We'd all be underwater. So why isn't it good? So here's where the concept of peace comes in. So the Medrash says that the reason it doesn't say it was good is because if you're going to cause division, if you're going to cause splitting up things, then it's not good. So the rabbis, of course, say, even though in this case, splitting up the waters was a necessity, and had it not been for that, there would be nothing going on anymore. But still, the concept of machlokas, the word machlokas means argument, division, splitting up between anything, that concept, we're going to make a point, God is making a point, is not good. Now, there should be an obvious question that screams. We should be screaming out an obvious question. And
Really is.
no, because it's something that I didn't. Nobody. I mean, not saying nobody. It's so obvious, but you don't think of it. Is if you're saying the concept of splitting up things is not a good thing, and it shouldn't say that it was good. The first day, God split up between light and day, night and day, light and darkness, and it says it was good. And right away, He made a split. So why over there it does say it was good? So that's a very famous question. Rabbi Rapport, I was saying that the second day doesn't say Ketov is because there was a split. And when there's machlokas, it's not good. So even though he split the water for a good reason, but still, since it was a split, a division, we don't use the word good. So what about the first day? He split up the day between night and dark, and so how come over there it does say good? So there's just as much as an obvious answer. And the obvious answer is that water is a good thing. Without water we can't live. Without water we can't fertilize and plant whatever we do. So there was a split in a good thing. Even though half of it went to the sky and half of it went to the ground, and it had to be that way, otherwise we wouldn't be able to live. But still, there was a split in a good thing, in a positive thing, and that's why it doesn't say good. But when you're splitting something bad from good, light from dark, truth from lies, there it is good. So while we talk about that there should be peace and there shouldn't be splitting, at the same time we have to know that there's the Navi says, the prophets say, Ha'emes ve'asholem ehavu. Truth and peace you should love and endear. It says truth first, because if you want to have peace, you got to be truthful. You can't have peace if you're not truthful. The Gemara says that the Hashem created no greater vessel to contain blessings. The greatest vessel is peace. That peace is the greatest vessel. Ein keli. How does the saying go? Ein kli hamachzik brocha el shalom. The best way to contain peace, to contain blessings, is to have peace. But we use the analogy of a vessel because if you're going to have a cup and it's going to be cracked and it's going to be faulted, breached, then you'll lose your coffee. So the only way to really have peace is to have truth, and you have to separate the truth from fiction, truth from lies, and that's what the message was the first day. First you got to do is separate the good from the bad, the light from the dark, and that is a very good thing, and it's not only a very good thing, it's required. So, we have the concept that Ola Rasha, Ola Shchena, the Perek says that woe is to an evil person, and woe is to the person who's his neighbor. Because if you're going to be attached to something bad, then eventually through osmosis, you'll become that way too. So, Shalom Aleichem, Reb Levi. So again, to separate good from bad is a good thing, but any other division, any other arguments is not a good thing, and that's why it doesn't say Kitov. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about, there's one more day that it doesn't say Kitov.
The seventh day?
No.
What is that?
The sixth day, when God created man, it doesn't say it was good. So you can think about it. Why doesn't it say by the sixth day, by man, that it was good? I mean, if man is no good, then what is good? All right? Excuse me?
Doesn't say it was very good on the sixth day.
I don't know, maybe. So we'll look into it tomorrow. Okay? Time to daven. Have a good day. Bye.